Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have. Sometimes I just like to clap, you know? I mean, life is short. Give a standing ovation. I love in the book, Wonder, that he says at the end of the book, his motto for the book is that everybody in life deserves one standing ovation or something like that. And I love that because I so agree with that, you know, that everybody deserves a standing ovation at least once in their life. I love that. So anyway, but thank you for coming over to Peterisms today. This is where I tell little stories of my life, things I've learned. I read meditations, and yes, today I'm going to read a meditation. I'm actually going to read 3. But 2 of them are about the same thing. The first one that I want to read is From the Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. I think it goes without any introductions. I read on here all the time. June 12th, Spontaneity and Fun. And I actually haven't read this one yet. Practice being spontaneous. Practice having fun. The joy of recovery is that we finally get to experiment. We get to learn new behaviors, and we don't have to do them perfectly. We only need to find a way that works for us. We even have fun experimenting, learning what we like, and how to do what we like. Many of us have gotten into a rut with rigidity, martyrdom, and deprivation. One of the normal experiences many of us have been deprived of is having fun. Another one is being spontaneous. We may not have the foggiest notion what we would like to do for fun, and we may hold ourselves in check so tightly that we wouldn't allow ourselves to try something fun anyway. We can let ourselves go a little now and then. We can loosen up a bit. We don't have to be so stiff and rigid, so frightened about being who we are. Take some risks. Try some new activities. What would we like to do? What might we enjoy doing? Then take another risk. Pick out a movie we'd like to see. Call a friend and invite him or her to go along. If that person says no, try someone else, or try again another time. Decide to try something, then go through with it. Go once, go twice, practice having fun until fun becomes fun. Today I will do something just for fun. I will practice having fun until I actually enjoy it. And I think this is such a great meditation, you know? I think that we talk so much about having fun, but very few of us really know what that means, including myself at times, I think, you know? And it's funny, whenever I read one of these meditations, I'm always reminded of something from my past. And I used to be friends with this girl way back in the day. I haven't talked to her in a long time. But we both got sober, you know, and she, I think, had been sober for a little bit longer than I had. And she was obsessed with the Colts football team here in Indianapolis. So I live in Indianapolis, and our football team is the Colts. And she would buy season tickets, and I think everything she wore was blue and white, which is, I think, their colors. Like, I'm not a football fan. But anyway, and, you know, whenever time I would see her, she'd always, you know, she'd be like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm tailgating, I've got these people. She knew all the Colts, she had all of them sign her football and all this kind of stuff. And what was so funny is that when you would sit there and talk to her, you know, like about when she was growing up, like she would say, oh, I never went to football games. Like, I could care less about football. And so one day I was talking to her and I was like, you know, why is it now that you have this, you know, total interest in the Colts when growing up you could care less about football, you didn't know anything about it? She's like, honest to God, she was like, I had no clue about anything. I just looked up and something, it was so weird, it just like went by my window out, like up. That was so creepy strange. Anyway, but she said, you know, like, honest to God, I didn't know anything about football until after I got sober. And she was like, but you know, I always wanted to be part of something. And being in a 12-step program, getting sober, like, taught me how to be part of something. And she was like, you know, everybody that I knew growing up, all of my family, they always, you know, got around the TV and watched a football game. And I wanted to be part of that. And the more I became part of that, like, the more interested I became in football. And she's like, now I know everything about it. She's like, she went to all the away and home games. I mean, she went to every game, right? And she loved it, and she knew all the players and all this kind of stuff, and she was obsessed with it. And I'd be like, you spent so much money on the Colts stuff. And she said, I know, but it's fun, and it makes me happy, and I feel like I'm part of something. And I think that's it. You know, I think fun sometimes is synonymous with passion. It's like, what are you truly passionate about in life? Like, what really gets you excited? And if you have ever gone out to lunch with somebody, right, and you're like, so, how have you been? I've been good. And then you're like, oh, so what have you been doing lately? And they tell you about work, and you tell them about work, right? And then they're like, so what's new? And they're like, oh, nothing new, whatever. And then you're like, oh, so, you know, is your daughter going to Indiana University? Yeah, you know, she's going to be down there next year. She's going to be a freshman. So, you know, the last time I talked to you, you know, you had started knitting. Oh my God. Like, okay, so there's this knit shop that I went to the other day, and they have all these, you know, like skeins of, you know, wool and yarn or whatever it's called. And I mean, I got this green, And you know what I mean? Like, they start talking about it and they get so excited talking about this one thing that they're so passionate about. Like, that's how they have fun. It's like me talking about books, you know? Because I love books. I love audiobooks. I love any kind of book, you know? I love reading books on my front porch. I love talking to people about books. And so I think that's it. Like, you know, like my husband's that way with electronic dance music. It's like he's so passionate about it. He's so excited about it. And I think each of us should have one of those things. But then I think we should also try some new things, because how will we know whether or not something is, if something is something that we're going to really like or not, unless we try it out, you know? So I think we have to try that as well. And so anyway, that's the whole idea of having fun. Be spontaneous, try new things. I'm not great at that. I haven't been great in my life about being spontaneous. I'm trying to be better about that, you know? When people ask me to do stuff, being like, okay, but like I've talked about in a lot of my videos, I suffer from a lot of social anxiety. It's no excuse, but it is a barrier to me getting there. But I just have to use my tools and things today that I have to get over there and to be spontaneous and to try new things. Because often when I do, on the other side I walk away and I'm like, oh my God, I had such a great time. You know what I mean? All right, that's from Miss Melody Beatty today. And that kind of goes into the next meditation, which is from June 10th and June 11th in the Living Juicy Daily Morsels. And if you, for Creative Soul, by Sark. If you have read this book, then you'll know that she kind of has themes. So she'll have like a week or two and it'll be a theme. And the theme right now is dreaming. And this is the first one. Dreaming, and then she has a picture of her laying in bed. Can't really see it there, but we lie vulnerable, our fingers curled, our fingers curled open, our breath soft. This when we hear angels speak. I often wake up with a dream playing in my mind like a song. It follows me all day and provides a touch point back to my dreaming world. Be guided by your dreams. And so there she's talking about literal dreams that we have when we're asleep, you know. When I was a little kid, my mom gave me a dream journal, and she said she wanted me to write down my dreams in it every day, and she said, and I'm not going to read your dreams and whatever. I don't know if she did or not, but I kept it hidden anyway, because of course I would. So anyway, but she said the more you write down the dreams, the more you'll remember, and forever I did that, you know? And to this day, like I have very, very vivid dreams and nightmares that I remember much of, you know? And I think it really goes back to like, there was like, you know, a really long period in my life where I wrote down my dreams, and that wasn't the only time that I did it when I was younger. You know, there'd be another like, you know, 6 months or a year down the road when I was in high school, or, you know, then when I was an adult that I would do it. And so it's kind of been this practice that I've done through the years. But she kind of goes in here and then talks about figurative dreaming. Dream on. And then it says, it's this guy sitting in a chair and there's like a little thought cloud around him. Move to Alaska, be a painter, be a mom, invent a new ice cream, publish stuff, change the school system. Dream on. Each of us has a dream, at least one. Not living that dream ever can be an unfulfilled path. What could be better about being human than living our dreams? My father didn't exactly understand my creative spirit while I was growing up, and would sometimes sarcastically say to me, dream on, kid, about various ideas and plans I would talk about. Well, I took it literally, and I did keep on dreaming. Let dreams surround you. And I love that so much. You know, it's this whole idea about like, hey, if you could have the life, like, you know, I always say to people like in a perfect world, you know, I used to use that phrasing, like in a perfect world, what would your life look like? And they'll say things to me like, well, I'd have enough money for my bills, and, you know, like, I'd be in a relationship. I'm like, okay, in a perfect world, right? Like, that's an okay world, but like in a perfect world, what would it look like? Oh, in a perfect world, well, in a perfect world, I'd be a fairy princess, and by day and by night, I would be, you know, a treasure hunting scuba diver, and I would have, you know, a house in the mountains in Switzerland, but I would also live on a yacht out in the middle of the Mediterranean. There, dream big. That's what I'm talking about, right? Because the thing is that when we start there, dreaming big, it opens up our mind to other dreams that we might have in our lives, you know, of like being a writer, being a movie star, you know, being a stage actress, being an attorney, being a, you know, working retail, owning our own store, whatever. But, you know, you don't get to the dream just by zoom, getting there. Like, you have to start. Very few people, right, write a book, you know, let's say in a week, publish it, and it becomes a bestseller for 10 years. That just doesn't happen, you know? Very few people go to their first audition and become a movie star and get an Oscar. That just doesn't happen, right? Maybe for a few, but not many. And so, you know, once you have that goal in sight, that mountain, that you can see that top of that mountain and you're like, I'm gonna reach that mountain. Well, you get to that mountain one step at a time. You don't get there by just leaping and flying up there. If we could, it would take away the goal of the mountain. You know what I mean? Like, the mountain wouldn't be such a dream for us if it was so easy to attain. And I think sometimes we miss that. Like, the lack of being able to attain our dreams is what makes it so cool in the first place. And then when you get to the top of the mountain, and this has happened many times for me, as it's happened probably many times for you, graduating high school, maybe going to college, getting this job, being able to buy this car, you know, whatever it may be. Once you get to the top of the mountain, then it's time to dream a bigger dream. And what do you want to do next with your life, you know? And I'm constantly dreaming bigger dreams because, like I say all the time, life is short. This is not a dress rehearsal, and you have to make the most of it. So let me know what you think about that. What are your dreams? Put one below that you have if you're not too shy. And are you working towards achieving that dream? I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video.